Hey, what's up, guys, ladies and gents? This is Dave Wood, and I'm chilling out here a little bit late tonight, and just hanging out, having a happy night. And I wanted to tell some stories to you, right? For a variety of reasons. I mean, number one, today is obviously right now is still inside the Jewish Sabbath, which goes from Friday night at sundown to Saturday night at sundown. And so, it's a great time to tell some bedtime stories, but also it's a great time to learn some strategies, right? About love. Why is love important? Well, God said that, uh, Jesus said, actually, I suppose God said and Jesus said, right at the same. Jesus said that, um, I'm getting distracted. You know what? So I'm just going to tell some stories. So a few years ago, I was living in a green 1996 Dodge Caravan. Get distracted because it's a little bit late. I was living in a green 1996 Dodge Caravan. Paint peeling off, had old rusted tires. And I remember I used to, bang my wife in this van. So this one time we're doing each other, right? From behind, and I hear this knocking on the window, and we open the window, and somebody's like, oh. So it's a funny story about love, isn't it? Love is a funny thing. It comes, sometimes it seems to go, but it never really goes. It just comes. That's what love does. And when you really love somebody, you love them no matter what. When you really love somebody, you love yourself no matter what. Because you can't love somebody else without loving yourself. If you don't love yourself very much, it's maybe hard for you at the moment to love other people. However, if you love yourself, suddenly you're going to find it easy to love other people because you love yourself. You care about who you are. You care about your own heart. You care about your own life. You care about the things that you're doing in your life to take your life and your businesses to the next level. You're caring about the economy. You're caring about your environment and the people. You can't take care if you don't really love your environment. How can you really love yourself? Because the environment is actually an extension of yourself, right? So however your environment is on the outside is a reflection of how your brain is on the inside. And if you love yourself, you want to take care of your environment, both on the inside and on the outside. The power of love is a beautiful thing, you know. I'm going to tell a story here one time. I'm going to tell a story here that was really powerful. One time, my wife and I were having issues. This is years ago, and like I hadn't seen her for like 2 weeks or something like that. This is a little bit rough emotional time for me. And then I got like 30 people to like kind of round table pray. We didn't do it together. We did, I think, one prayer together or something like that. And there's like 30 people praying. And then, so I was in this hotel with Marco. We used to do Kung Fu together. If you guys saw my old Kung Fu videos that were just awful. I used to do, and you're like, it still looks awful, but you don't know what you're looking at, right? But, so I used to do Kung Fu with this guy named Marco Gomez out in Costa Rica. I love Marco. Marco, if you see this, love you with all my heart, brother. And so I used to do Kung Fu with this guy in Costa Rica. And the Kung Fu that I did with him really conditioned my brain and my body. So anyways, I'm doing Kung Fu with him and I need to write him a check. So I look for my checkbook. I can't find it. And then I run to my car, right? And I can't find the checkbook. And I was like, what the heck? It's not in the car. So then I run back inside and there's an elevator door shutting. And I jumped inside Okay, I jumped inside, and right there in the elevator, right when I jumped inside, there was this guy that ran an event that I knew my wife was going to, right? And I wasn't gonna go because I didn't want to like just surprise her or whatever, but I kind of knew she was going, right? Because I'd seen that she had posted on her Facebook or whatever. It was this like paint event type thing. And these guys are like, well, I can give you two free tickets. And I was like, really? Because I told him I do events. And then he gave me 2 free tickets. And then guess what I did? Right? I went down there, and I'm glad I did because I got her out of there in the nick of time, I'll tell you that. Just at the last moment, at the last possible time, in the greatest story ever told. Who knows what will happen this next time? That was an interesting one that time. Right? That was an interesting one that time. And, when you love somebody and you love yourself, you do whatever it takes, no matter what it is, to honor that person, to love that person, and to really create an environment where you're prospering with everyone around you. That's what love is really all about. It's about prosperity. I this last year, one of the things I struggled with was I struggled with prosperity. And why did I struggle with prosperity? I struggled because my internal environment wasn't matching what I wanted to create. And so, I listened to this audio interview with Vic Strausshouse. I did some transcription on my blog. And one of the things that he said in there is he's like, when I was new, there was nobody that could convince me I wasn't making $100,000 a month right then, even before I was. Right? That's how focused his mind was on creating his vision. That's how focused his mind was at manifesting his desires of his heart. That's how focused he was. And that's how focused I've been. And it's taken me some time to get it all right. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay taking time. I don't need to do things in the way that other people do them. I need to take the time to do them the way that I need to do them in the right way. And then we can learn from other people and implement those into making them better strategies. So the power of love will help you overcome all things. What I mean by all things, I mean everything. The power of love will help you to forgive your partner, to forgive your husband, to forgive your wife, to forgive your husband, baby. When you want to, right? The power of love will allow you to see past your own selfish desires, speaking to everybody here, to speak about their own selfish desires, right? Because the selfish desires, a lot of times we don't realize that some of them are necessary. I mean, really, desires by themselves generally are sort of selfish. They're self-fulfilling things. You're creating self-love, and self-love is coming back at you. So in any case, there's an old thing that says the love of money is the root of all evil, but having money is not evil. Because if you're filled with love and you have money, imagine the children that you could feed. If you had enough love, imagine the women you could take care of. If you have enough love, imagine all this stuff coming together when you're going and buying stuff. You're buying stuff from the power of love. If you don't love your product, why are you buying it? Well, maybe you just like a product or something like that, but you don't love it. Find one you love. Look, in this industry that I've been in for my majority of my old adult life, which is network marketing, they used to teach us that if the product doesn't stand alone as a product outside of the business opportunity, it's not a product that's worthy of a business opportunity. Right? So you got to love your product. You got to love your wife. You got to love your children like I love my wife and children. Right? I think everybody knows that. Everybody sees that. I think everybody accepts that as true. I love my wife and children. You got to love your wife. You got to love your husband. It's very important to love your husband and to forgive him, even when he hurt you first. It's very important to love your wife and to forgive her, even when, she hurt you first. Right? Because there's always a first and a last. And usually in relationships, I think personally, it's men that do the majority of the hurting. Because women, no, that's not necessarily true. I mean, women can really mess up a guy's heart. Because maybe he's attached and she's not. But the reverse can also be true. Men can mess up their wife's heart. I know I've done that before. Never do it again. I promise you that. The reality is that you have got to love your neighbor as you love yourself. But you can't really love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. You got to love yourself first. Or love your higher power and then say, I can't love myself, but I know you love me. Can you give me that love? And maybe if you just say, I confess that Jesus died for my sins, that he sits from the right hand of God, and I'll be raised from the dead the last day. And he was raised from the dead on the third day, and I'll be raised the last day. Then you'll be saved or whatever, right? You can say that if you want. The reality is that if you really want to live a good life, to live a great life, I'm going to tell everybody here something that I think is very important, okay? Is I am so focused right now on manifesting what I want to create. It will happen. Many people have laughed at me over this last 2 years. Behind my back, talking about me in circles and stuff like that, making fun of me when I'm not around. I was over at Orrin Woodward's house talking, and I read his book, 13 Resolutions for Life, and one of the things it says, never gossip. Don't talk about people if they're not around. Right now, to be fair, I did that too a little bit on my blog and whatnot because I was so mad. But then I changed. And I just took it down. I actually spent time on my blog today making sure that everything I could find that was remotely negative or angry at my wife was just gone from the blog. Because I thought that there was some negative karma in that writing. And negative karma is something that you want to be really careful with, right? Like, for example, how much negative karma is there from people not treating animals right? If they just follow kashrut laws, there's not a problem. Kashrut and halal, right? Foods are generally not a problem with this. But if animals aren't treated right and they're diseased, you're going to get those diseases in their bodies into yours. If animals die in a lot of anger and hurt, because, hey, look, mammals all have brains, emotional brains, just like we do. And if they're really angry and really hurt, and then you're eating all the anger and hurt, you're going to get angry and you're going to hurt others. It's one of the reasons why vegetarian people are so much more peaceful in general than non-vegetarians. Because if you really love your environment, it makes more sense to be mostly vegetarian. Maybe not all the way, right? I'm not opposed to eating meat if it's kosher or halal, it's fine. But outside of that, I'll just eat fish. You know what I mean? So if I go to a kebab shop or something like that, they treat animals well, right? if you go to a Jewish, store or a Islamic store or something like that, you do your shopping. Halal food is much better for you. It tastes better. It tastes better because the animals have love. Here's a thing, a thing I'm going to share with you. Okay. There's always negative karma and Buddha taught this as well. There's always negative karma for, for example, taking a life. And that would be like your the food you're eating. There's some negative karma in there, right? There has to be. Because you took a life to have your own life. Which is really unnecessary in this day and age. You know what I mean? However, there's something very interesting with fish, where fish, they actually, it's a very good thing for them to be eaten by a human, because I'm not going to explain why. No, I'll explain it. What the hell? It's because if fish, right, get eaten by a human, they get to be a human in the next incarnation, right? So it's a dream of many of the fish. Because you say, well, fish don't know what humans are. Yeah, they do. I promise. See, people operate generally from one mind because they're not connected to the universe. And they're not because of the darkness in their hearts. And the darkness in their minds, the darkness in their souls. Right? So animals don't have this problem. Fish don't have this problem. There's no sin in fish. None. So because there's no sin in fish, for example, doesn't exist, there's no seal on any of their chakras. Right? They're like enlightened and connected, operating from mostly a single mind. Within that species of the same fish, maybe segmented to different areas and stuff like that, right? Keeping fish together. So, just like anything, the brain of the fish might be small, right? The brain of the fish might be really small, but the vision of the fish is maybe very big. You never know. You gotta love the animals. You gotta love the fish. You gotta love the oceans. You gotta love the earth. See, if we love the earth, we'll plant gardens. If we love the earth, we'll plant trees. If we love the earth, right? If we love the earth, we're going to make a really big difference. If we love each other, we're going to make a really big difference. I've watched this pattern this last year that's been very fascinating, and it's ending, where people have gathered in groups and fought against me and stuff like this. I forgive them all. It's fine. I'll tell you this, though, that's not useful for you. It's not helping you with anything. Right? It's kind of like my negative energy and my angry energy wasn't helping you with anything. One thing that I want to share, I was just thinking about this earlier, is, I was looking at my old Work with David Wood blog because I got the files, but they're not set up right. So I'm going to do the setup first on EmpowerNetwork.com and try to get that one back up live. And I don't know how much of a server I'm going to need and all this stuff to at least put it back on. And then I'll have to mess with it for a long time because it's going to take me forever. But I was reading this content and then I realized where I've been off and what I'm doing. In a lot of ways, what I've been doing doesn't make much sense. And the reason it doesn't is because what we're doing, right, it needs to be in a way that is conducive to everyone involved. We need to keep people together. So when I lost my team in network marketing, it broke my heart. Because the one thing everybody knows about me, who knows me, is I have got the best heart they have ever encountered in their life. Everyone knows it. Everyone does. Now, some of y'all have gotten weird stories in your head that don't really like. And that's fine. You can believe what you want to believe. What I know, though, is I've forgiven all of you. I'm over it. I'm just humble and glad I'm alive, and I'm glad I'm doing well psychologically. And mostly anyways. I've been struggling in some things, you know. Last few days I've been crying all night because I miss my family so bad. And that's interfering my sleep a little bit. But mostly I'm actually pretty good because while I'm doing the crying, I'm doing emotional release. Okay? So I take the time to do emotional release. Now, emotional release, what the emotional release does is it opens up space for new energy. Right? And it also heals the other person because your karmas are tight. You're experiencing hurt because you're both hurt. The ultimate task is to never hurt each other. To just never do it. You don't need to. Sometimes you might need to hurt somebody's feelings if you need to wake them up, though. You know, hurt feelings are not an entirely bad thing. But to never hurt each other. That's the task. That is the task of a warrior. That is the task of a thinker. That is the task of somebody that loves their family. To love deeply and completely forgive him of what he has done. Because you're better than him. That's how a woman should think. She should think, I'm not going to stoop to his level. I'm a woman. I love him just for how he is. And I'm just waiting for him. And I hope what he's saying is true. You know, I learned a lot this last year about communication. And the reason is because I had this incredibly huge idea, okay? That's like the biggest idea any of you have ever heard, like by far. And I have this giant idea, and I'm trying to figure out how to systematically convey that in a way that results in what I want to do, which is to gather the 144,000. Right? And there are some dark forces out there get me to not be with my wife and not be with get with the 144,000. I'll tell you. Okay? It is Satan that has kept my wife from me, not God. It is Satan only, period, that has led her down to where we are right now. Just like me, a few years back, I did the same thing. And she was crying all night. So the karma corrects. One of the things that happens in enlightenment is the resolution of karma exponentially speeds up. Now, this is true for everyone that I know who has ever been enlightened. And what that causes is, let me give you an example. Like, there's a Buddhist monk in China somewhere, my brother knows the story, who used to eat pine trees or whatever. No, that's not that guy. Anyways, this guy gets enlightened, this Buddhist monk, very loving man. And then realizes that he had murdered brutally like 11 people in the previous incarnation. So after he was enlightened, he was allowed to incarnate 11 times, only to be brutally murdered each one of the times for 11 incarnations. And then he was freed from that. You say, well, why would everybody go through something like that? Eventually, yes, when they're enlightened, when their consciousness is enlightened. And then sometimes it would happen, in this life and stuff like this. And this is generally if people don't repent, but this is something that he did in a previous incarnation. Why is karma there? Karma is there because of love. Karma is there because of love. Karma is there because of love. So the karma, for example, for me experiencing some of the things that I'm experiencing, is karma for things that I did. And karma for me in the future will be me experiencing the repercussions and the balance in the universe of what I'm speaking and who I'm being, and how that's reflectant on the reality around me. So if I want the reality around me to bend according to his will, then what I need to do is I need to be very, very, very careful with what I say, with what I speak, with who I interact with my business transactions and relationships and everything. Because I will be scrutinized like nobody that any of you have ever met. I promise. I will be scrutinized by everyone. Just they'll be waiting for me to be a hypocrite. Which is what I was in certain parts of this last year in certain ways, not always. What are some examples of being a hypocrite? Right? What can you think of in your own life? No need to tell my stories. I repented. Saying one thing and doing another. Being lazy about it. Hypocrisy. Like hippos. It's hard to really speak from love if they're being a hypocrite. So you repent from the hypocrisy, and instead, what do you have? You have love. And love just treats people different. So, I've talked a lot about the Torah, and the cool thing about the Torah is the Torah is such a thorough, holy, beautiful book. First 5 books of Moses, right? The whole thing is important. Every word is important. Every period is important in English, right? Obviously, the original version doesn't have any punctuation in Hebrew, right? So the Torah is a book that is so important for you to align with. However, the Torah can't really be understood for a long time. It's very complex. It takes you a long time. If you read a book a day, you still won't understand it in a month. It might take you 3 hours or something like that. So what did Jesus say? And Paul, these guys, in the New Testament, they said, we operate in the law through the love. Because love is the fulfillment of the law. Love is the fulfillment of the law. Does that make sense to you? Love is the fulfillment of the law. And when you fulfill the law fulfills you. It fills you. It's written onto your heart. This is my favorite YouTube channel. I took a lot of my videos down, and the reason I took them down, I actually think it's a good idea, is because there was a lot of gnarly energy coming out of me when I was enlightened and then, um, you know, had the attack on myself. And there was a lot of angry energy because I lost my only incomes and I was really trying my best. And I don't think that anybody saw that I was just trying my best. That like I was trying to protect my family and I lost my incomes and I got desperate because I needed the money for my kid, for my family. You know, and so I have a lot of those videos. I don't have that angry energy anymore. You probably noticed. I think I have some hurt energy. Way less than most people would at this point. Right? Because I'm taking the time to get over it because I know I got to produce. I know that it's got to be now. It has to be. I got too much to lose. I got too much to lose to not take action. And I got too much to gain by taking action. What doth it profit if a man gains the whole world, yet loses his soul? What doth it profit if a man gains the whole world and loses his soul? What doth it profit? Is my question for you. It seems like people are really focused on the world because of pride, arrogance, bad philosophies. Most people's philosophies on life suck. Pretty much, I think everybody's philosophies sort of suck compared to mine. No, they're not. I'm joking. They're just different. But most people's philosophies suck. You know what I mean? They just come in, they take advantage when they can take advantage. They leave when they can leave. This isn't living a life of philosophy. You think Mencius or Confucius would have acted this way? I think not. I think they were men of integrity. Most great thinkers are men of integrity, women of integrity. Integrity is very important. Integrity is sticking to your guns. You know, a lot of people this last year have asked me, like, why are you still talking about this? Because it's my mission and I got to figure out how to communicate it in a way that gets everyone in the world to listen to it. Because it's all we got. We don't got time anymore. I got to figure that out. And I'm not there yet. I've been going about it in the wrong way. So now I'm trying to go about it in the right way and I'm running into some obstacles. Obstacles that at one point or another, we can all share strategies about how I overcame them. When I'm speaking to you once more on a stage in front of 6,000 people, right as we're going to take our company public. Maybe it's 60,000 people. Maybe it's 100,000 in like a year, maybe. Look, I believe in you. I believe in you so much that I've sacrificed a lot this year. And the year before, and the year before, and the year before. Sometimes with no reward, sometimes with lots of reward. There's always a reward for sacrifice. Always. Just maybe you don't see it. And the reality is that people, I know they love me. Like, I don't think any of these people I've mentioned, like Dave Sharp or Rashkin or whatever, I don't think they don't love me. I think they do. I think they love me quite a lot. I think they're very thankful for me. What I think is that I think that they're a bit lost, and that I've been a little bit lost along the way trying to figure myself out. You know what I mean? You say, well, why are they lost? Because they are not enlightened yet. You know, it's funny how when I started talking about my enlightenment, first of all, I was like bragging about it, which was the wrong approach, right? And I didn't get education from like a monastery or something like that. Probably would have been a good idea for me to do. Because if I study the teachers, they've had this experience before. Probably the reason Buddha said to not talk about being enlightened all the time is because he tried that and everybody thought he was crazy. Right? And that's okay if that's what they think. The reality is that there ain't nothing that could convince me I'm not enlightened. Nothing. My crown chakra's blown open. It's been blown open for 2 years. Doesn't matter if I'm eating, drinking my stuff, not drinking it, relaxing at a beach. My crown chakra's open. Right? There ain't nothing that convinced me of that. Because my consciousness can see the truth. Right? The people around me can feel the truth. You know, I think, a challenge for you is, who do you know that has a more powerful spirit than I do? I'll tell you, there's only one person I know. Who's that? My wife. She's the only person with as much weirdness around her as I have that I've ever met. It's one of the reasons why we're perfect, why we're a match made in heaven. That you have got to love people, love your wife, love yourself for all these reasons we've talked about. So if you love your environment, what are you going to do? You're going to do things like, for example, plant trees. You're going to do things, for example, like keep track of your finances. You're going to do things like clean your house. You're going to do things, and then, by the way, that's the hypocrisy of me, because I'm not the most clean person around, right? I'm constantly fascinating my brother Johnny, who's like, dude, like, how are you alive, and he's so much more clean than I am, and because he's been cleaning all of his life. You know what I mean? He's my brother. You gotta drink some water. He's my brother. John Wood. I'll tell you, Johnny will be powerful. He will be more powerful than me in certain ways. So enlightenment is powerful. Enlightenment is powerful. Enlightenment is powerful. What do I mean by that? When you wake up, everything in your life begins to change. There's a phenomenon that happens around enlightenment where right before a person is enlightened, they get attacked trying to drive them away from the enlightenment. Right? So I've seen this happen again and again with people. Patriarchal blessing. And it said in there, Satan knows who you are and would have you to be his. Beware of pride. Satan knows who you are and would have you to be his. Before pride cometh the fall. It is always work to stay humble. One of the best ways to create humility. Humility is like an energy that stems from forgiveness and acceptance going on at the same time, and realizing that there's something greater than you, like a higher power, like an upline, like a church. Could be lots of things that are greater than you, because the collective is greater than the parts, right? So does it make sense to you? You got to love people. You got to love your husband when you're ready, knowing he accepts you for how you are. And I accept you, my love, for exactly how and who you are. So Arthur Schopenhauer's idea is ridiculed and condemned. What did people do with me when I first came out? And when I first came out and I just started talking about this stuff, well, they ridiculed me and they condemned me. They're still doing that. There's also another phase going on where it's ridiculed and condemned, and then it's violently opposed. The violent opposition has been coming at me for a long time in certain areas. And it won't be probably anything like what will happen at some point, because the violent opposition is building in all of society. And then what happens is there's a time it succeeds. And then there's a time when it becomes self-evident. Look at David Icke, for example. David Icke, a lot of you guys know him. He's the guy that talks about shape-shifting lizards, which are from the Garden of Eden, funny enough, the original reptilians, not the ones in this universe. But he spends most of his time talking about these things, which is like, if you spend most of your time talking about dark energy, you're actually, in a way, creating more of the dark energy, right? This is one of the reasons why I don't listen to it all the time, because I just don't want to infect, I don't want the dark energy. I want the beautiful energy. I want light energy, right? But look at what happened when he had some sort of spiritual awakening, and he started getting all this weird information from the universe and whatnot. And it was a little bit different than my spiritual awakening, for example, right? But what happened is everybody laughed at him and ridiculed him and condemned him. And he started growing, and then he's violently opposed and made fun of worse, and like opposition everywhere and stuff going wrong in his body and all sorts of stuff from the kingdom of the enemy. And then he gets on a stage today and everybody listens to this stuff about the shape-shifting lizards and they all love it. I mean, I want you guys to think about how cool of movies I could make. I want you to think about, like, I'm not just talking about, like, some of the stuff I talk about, like, there's the reason I'm talking about is to get it out of my brain onto paper or something like that. And it's useful to put it out there on the internet because, people look for it later. I've been going about it wrong because I haven't been doing SEO, which is really the purpose of blogging, right? And it's like, duh, this is how I started building the line. And so because of that, I'm going after people that just don't care about this. But I should have gone after the weird people and after the people asking spiritual questions. Okay. People ask spiritual questions and whatnot. And I'm answering their questions. All of a sudden, the ask and you shall receive law goes into effect, which is I'm speaking to them and they asked a question. That's how they found me. So they found me by asking a question. When somebody finds you by asking a question, they're way more likely to hearken you. And I'm telling you, I don't need like 1 million followers to start. I just need to build up my following, which as of this last time has not been the easiest thing to do because of how people have been going around jabbering and running their mouths and doing like pugly gossiping. You know what I mean? I've never enjoyed gossiping, to be honest with you. I've just always thought it was stupid. It is stupid. It's all that's been going on. Right? So the better way to do it is to love people. The better way to do it is to make friends. The better way to do it is to say, you know what, this stuff you're talking about is very interesting. I'm not particularly interested in it, but good luck. You know what I mean? Gosh, that'd be nice. You know, what do you do with your spouse? Well, if you're a husband, you accept your wife's different beliefs. If you're a wife, you accept your husband's different beliefs. Is what you should do. I got some hidden messages in this one, don't I? So the reality is, I'm working on getting these sites back online. It's taken me forever, and I've been a little frustrated with it. And then, I realized again today what my problem is that I'm trying to do the work of a technical army. Really, my time is probably best spent doing things like SEO and selling on the phone. And then all the other stuff that I do should be outsourced. It makes no sense to do it a different way. Eventually, right? I don't even want to do the SEO eventually. I just want to write the articles. I love writing articles, though. I'm never going to stop writing articles. It's part of my mission. Right? We got to write books. We got to write in all sorts of stuff. So here's the thing. If you love me, hearken my sayings. Respect me. I will honor you even if you don't honor me. That's my new philosophy. And if I have to take somebody to court or whatever, then I'll take them to court in a way that's done in love and in a way that attacks the issue and solves it. A lot of people are focused on fighting. It is much more powerful to focus on being. So there's times in your life when doors open, and there's times in your life when doors close. Isn't there? What's it like when a door opens? It's like you're walking along in a park, and then there's just this black hole there, and you look to the side and you see there's an open door. Somebody had opened a door in the middle of nowhere that led to nothing and stepped right through a black abyss, it seems, until you try it and find out it's just a dark room that's hidden there in plain sight secretly. And you go in there, and then somebody gives you a pile of gold and silver, and you walk back on out with your new gold and silver. That's what an open door does. An open door in the universe, appearing to yourself, to bring your family back together like what's about to happen to me. It's been too long. I took too long to wake up. You got to act passionate. So there's like an open door right now. And a woman is on the other side. I reach out and touch her hand, and I wonder who it is because she's in the dark room and I can't really see. And then I pull up her hand like this and I see the ring. It's my wife. She's saying, Venga de aquí. Te amo. And the children are saying, Dad, we love you. We miss you. Please, please stay with us forever. And they're weeping. And the hearts are healing. And you say, yes. So, when an idea first comes out, it's ridiculed and condemned. People misunderstand the idea. I know that I am actually evidenced by a lot of the weird stuff that I could do that none of you could knock off. No matter how hard you try. I've had some real talented people try to knock off what I did. Never worked. Because they're missing me. Actually, they should have talked to me. I could have helped them. You know what I mean? I'd be happy to do it. There's people who are going to help me. I mean, I got somebody sent me an email the other day, with offer to give me an investment money. I'm talking to some other contacts going around, seeing what I can do to come up with resources. The one problem that I've had is I haven't really focused on any sort of one strategy. I've just kind of been a little bit too all over the place with it. So I've got like a million little projects that I'm working on. And isn't that a good thing to realize? And you're like, well, what should I be focused on? Creating traffic through value, getting leads and sales. Right? Traffic, leads, sales. And if I focus on that, I'm going to get that. And then it doesn't matter if I make 100,000. I'll make $1,000 a day, and then I'll make 3,000 a day, and then I'll make 5,000 a day, and then I'll make 100,000 a day, and then I'll make $1 million a day. Then I'll eventually make $1 billion a week, then $1 billion a day. You say that's ridiculous. No, it's not. Not to me. What's ridiculous to me is how few of you have listened to me. The smart ones have listened. Right? However, why have they not listened? Because I came out in a way with this message where I was conveying my message to people in a way that they didn't understand. Right? And I've got the whole Satan attacking, trying to win, defeating himself thing going on all that time in the background. Look, when Satan attacks, let's talk about the usefulness of understanding this. You got to understand the patterns he attacks in. You want to know the patterns that Satan attacks in? Book of Job is a great place. Read the stories of the Bible, like what happens in the Bible, also in the Book of Mormon, is people get humble, then they prosper. Then they prosper, then they get prideful. Then they need to be humbled again until they learn, until they get old and wise. It would not be a bad idea to be like scared of what will happen to you from the Father. You got to have some kind of fear. Where should your fear be? Only one thing. The judgments of Elohim. The judgments of the Father. Your fear is very useful if that's where you're focused, because where do the judgments of the Father come from? They come from the law. You stay in submission to the law and just let it be your system, right? You stay in submission to your own spiritual laws, whatever. If you're a Christian or whatever, you can stay in submission to the teachings of Jesus. It's fine. The reality is that the Torah, though, is the foundation of the teachings of Jesus, because Jesus was, of course, a rabbi and very wise and very scholared, even in his youth, evidenced by, all the places in Scripture. And I promise there's a lot that just went in there. He's one brilliant dude, right? So his teachings came from the law. But you stay in submission to the law. It's just about, look, what does that do? We take care of our environment, okay, because we love our environment. We take care of our family because we love our family. We take care of our wives, guys, and ladies, we take care of our husband, okay? Take care of the children. We take care of our family and extended family. We take care of our community. We have all sorts of holidays that go on all through the year. We have a lot of fun at each of them. Way more fun than normal holidays. It's all there. Got a holiday sequence there. It's the simplest thing ever, to be honest with you. Not really. It's just that it's simple compared to what we do to try to get along. What's some examples of that? Well, what is the difference in the Jewish legal system from the Torah and our own? Right? The Jewish legal system would not allow the stuff that society is rampant with to even exist. Wouldn't allow it. Right? Like examples of what? Like murder, for example. Somebody kills somebody. What happens? They sit in jail for a very long time. We waste $100,000 a year in North America on them every year. 30,000 to 100,000. I mean, depending on where they are or whatever. It might be 30,000 a year. I don't know, but it's a lot of money we waste on criminals every year. When the Torah, what they'd do is they would first of all, a person, if they'd repented or whatever before they're caught, then they could actually go and make restitution probably or something like that, or they talk to their preacher or whatever, and there's always obviously confession. But if somebody's caught for their murders, right, what happens? That person dies too, who murdered. It eliminates it. Now just forget about that real quick, because I don't want us dwelling on a negative concept. Right? They were talking to themselves. There are some prophets that went into Sodom and Gomorrah, and they couldn't even find one righteous man. They couldn't even find one. There was none. They were rejected too. However, they had good fruits in what way? Their peaceful, loving, kind energy that then later at some point turns into prosperity. Really, if you're focused on the right things, you'll prosper all the time. That's what I've learned. That's how I know I'm going to make so much money that, like, I will exceed the top 10 billionaires in the world by myself. By a long shot. By a long shot. Because I'm thinking big. And I'm speaking it. And I'm figuring it out. Right? I'm coming up with solutions to every core problem that exists in humanity. I'm not done. I'm not going to come up with all the core solutions. I'm going to come up with the ones that I know And I have a place in talking about it that time. Because I understand it. I don't really come to decisions and come to things before I have understanding. Have you ever lost your understanding? I have. I got it back. That's actually one of the things that I was reading on my old Work with David Wood blog, is how specific my language is. How targeted it is towards the person's question. And the results that I got were self-evident from that. It's a great way to write your blog post. Go find questions and answer the questions. Okay? When you answer people's questions, they feel loved. I know a lot of you got questions for me. And many of you have been too afraid to ask. Don't be. I'm approachable. I can help. You say, well, how could you help me? I got more peace in my heart than any of y'all. A peace that passeth understanding. That is the peace of enlightenment. That's what it is. And if I radiate this peace, how long is it going to be before we are standing on the beaches of the world together? You know, a lot of people they're like, yeah, these stories, it just sounds so crazy. Isn't that how Genesis sounded when it first came out? Isn't that how Revelation sounded when it first came out? My stuff's not more crazy than what's in Revelation. The Mormon church is led by a prophet. Does that mean that there aren't Christian prophets? No. It just means that the Christian prophets are probably different than the Mormon ones. Maybe they serve a different purpose. Maybe their prophecy gifts come to help lead people to Christ. And the Mormon prophecy gifts come to help people lead people to righteousness. Good balance, isn't it? Yeah. Right? There's a lot of good balance in the universe. Balance from a loving father and a loving mother who care about their children very much, just like I care about my own. With all my heart. Nothing I want more in the world than to hold my son Gabriel again, kiss him, and tell him, hey, Gabriel, I'm here for life. All my life, I'm here. Whenever you need me. He's a good boy. Same with Angel. Same with Priscilla. And when I'm holding them in a circle and our hands are touching, it'll be like a circuit of electricity swirling around with newness and wonder and joy. Look. I care about you. I care about you. Why? Because you're my friend. You're my friend. You know, Eric Worre told me something. You know what he said? He said, I'll always be your friend no matter what. Except when I came out with this stuff. And he ran away. scared. Very interesting response, isn't it? I mean, I was talking to him back and forth every day in text messages and stuff like that. Him and Orrin Woodward, my brother Will. And then, Orrin, I sent him this audio message. And it was out of line. He didn't ask. This is my point. Originally, when I started getting this information, I kept it in journals, and I wasn't going to go just like share this with everybody. I was just going to keep it in my journals. And then when the time was right, I would talk about it. And then I got excited about talking about it. And then I talked about it, and then I was excited, and then people weren't excited, and then nobody was listening, and I started to get in a bad spot, which now I'm recovering from. The purpose of my ideas are not to convince you of anything. The purpose of my ideas are to be ideas. The purpose of ideas are to manifest in the universe somehow. So how do we manifest it? At the last possible second, in the most dangerous situation ever, in the greatest story ever told. That's how. That's what my message is all about. Together. Making the world the place we want it to be for the kids, for the grandkids, for the future. Making America the nation we want to be. One of the reasons I popped on tonight is because it's Friday night. And I was thinking about my wife and how I love to go out with her on Friday night. It's like one of my favorite things in the world to do. About herself. We go have fun. We come back, we have more fun. Love you. And one of the things I learned with her is I learned a lot of lessons. And I'm here to learn a lot more lessons too. Like, something I learned being around her is that a woman is always right if she really loves her man. And she's a good woman. She's aware of things men aren't aware of. Always right. About everything. That's why it's so important to listen to them. Which is hard for a man. Because we always want something, don't we? You know, I used to be so stressed all the time when the first time I went with Priscilla for 2 years. I'd be so stressed out about her and how she's doing and how the kids are doing, and I just wanted to see her. And I missed her. I missed her really bad. And I didn't know that whole time she also missed me. Probably a lot like now. And when you love your spouse, your whole life is going to get better. Peace will come back into the home. The children will feel safe again for the first time in a year. In my case. We've had a very disrupted family this last year. Why has it been so disrupted? Satan, that's it. Does he attack her, you, both? He's attacked me pretty good this last year. I fell for some really stupid stuff. You know, and I learned to not listen to him. I learned to fend him off through my own righteousness, repeating scriptures, listening to Christian pastors. I've had to do more self-help this last 2 years than any of you. I've had to. I had to survive. I don't know if any of you know what it's like to lose everything when you really love people and when you... See, when I started my business, let me tell you guys a story. I was making a lot of money. I was making like 80 grand a month when I started Empower Network. I was doing fine. I had multiple income streams, was selling my own products, had lots of loyal followers, good loyal team. And I was doing well. And I started my company for one reason. The only reason was because I love people and I want to give them something safe. That's still my purpose. I don't think anything's safe because of what happened to me. That's happened to a lot of other people. And I'm here to change that for you, just like I changed it for me. So I did it literally just because I loved my team. Why'd I pick Dave to work with me? Because I loved Dave. There was something special about him. I loved him. Did he do the same, or was he there to take advantage, or did he want something? Did he love me too? I think that he was there for the opportunity. I think that's evident by his actions. So when I lost my team, I lost myself. I was in so much pain. I used to be in so much pain from all of this. So I just took it so personally. That I'm like giving everything and this is what's happening. Which was a victim story. Still though, it was so painful. Because I love my team. And then when my team, they turned their back on me and took my family's only income away. I broke because I needed that money for my son, Gabriel. And none of them were really willing to help. And I forgave them a long time ago at this point. That's not how you act when you love somebody. You know, I posted some videos talking about the way people treat addicts, that people they think are addicts, which often the case is not true. Okay? I'm no more of an addict, for example, than somebody who occasionally goes to a Starbucks coffee shop. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not even doing that because I don't have stimulants or anything. Right? Well, like, what do I mean by the way people mistreat addicts? People are like this and they like push them away. Which is the exact opposite of what Jesus would do. Exactly the opposite. Evidenced by his behavior. Say, what do you mean? He was hanging out with them. Whether or not they were doing what he wanted. He wasn't trying to control them. He was just hanging out with them, being a friend. That's what Jesus would do. He wouldn't act like many people have been acting in the past before they decided to change towards me. Now they're changing and they're doing new things. And what are they doing? Perhaps they're acting towards me in love. Perhaps they're acting towards me with peaceful energy. Like I have peaceful energy towards them. Perhaps they are doing what we all want to do together, which is to love each other. What's love really all about? Like when I'm walking along the beach with my wife hand in hand, getting married in Cancun, Mexico. And I looked at her and it was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen in my entire life. I still think about that day every day of my life. It was the best day I ever had. That was the best day of my life. I'm so thankful for it. It's the best day I've ever had. That's how much I love my wife. So miracles happen when you love people and you pray. You try praying on your own, but it's better to pray with people and on your own. Because when you pray with people, you have agreement. And when you have agreement, the collective consciousness of the prayer makes it happen. I will get so many people praying for my family, no matter how long it takes, that a doorway will open up and I will get her back. Because when she sees me again, she'll instantly radiate towards me. Because my energy is so much more clean now than it used to be. Way more clean than any man she's ever met. I have a pure, deep, loving, peaceful energy. That doesn't mean I don't struggle with stuff. It just means I have more peace than anyone I have met around me, perhaps with the exception of Rabbi Gabriel Cousins. I have way more peace. It is unrelatable to a majority of you. It is unrelatable. Like, in a way that's deep, how much peace I have. A peace that passeth all understanding. And my wife will radiate towards that peace because she'll know that that peace loves her and adores her and cherishes her and takes care of her and honors her and makes promises to her and delivers on the promises. That is what will happen. I want all of you to think about this moment in time in your business and what you really want. All the many people that are viewing. Think about all the things you want. How are you going to get them? Well, you got to have a vision. You got to have a plan. You got to take massive action. Vision, plan, massive action. Plan your work and work your plan. We've got to grow up, people. Many of you are probably thinking about that with me. Many of you are not thinking that anymore. We've got to grow up together and get over the hurt and the anger in the past and all the things that I've mentioned. The reason I told those stories tonight about my past was because I changed that stuff. And my outcome was to help you to automatically change just by watching this video. You guys have never seen this man step into his power. You've never seen it. You saw a fraction of it. You saw a little preview of it. You saw a little run of success in preparation for the greater run. But you've never seen anything like this. You've never seen anything like this. Nor will you ever again. And to think about how I've not had the viewers that I've desired these last months because I haven't been promoting and backlinking properly, which I'm going to change now. What it really is it's a sad disgrace for human beings to not be able to see something they don't understand without criticizing it. To not be able to think of a new idea that they've never heard of before without saying something negative about it. To not be able to get over their ego and say, maybe there's something here to learn that's urgent. A lot of you are laughing. A lot of them are laughing. And they will not think it's funny when they are burning in hell. Now, I'm a prophet of the promised land. A land flowing with milk and honey. That's my mission. We can change the nation together. We can change your city together. We can change our family together. We can change your family together. We can walk hand in hand as we march down the streets, breaking apart the system of control, the system of evil, the system of manipulation, and replacing it with a system of love, wholeness, righteousness, and peace. We can do it together. You and I, we can do it together. Look, I'm getting a little better at communicating, aren't I? I think a lot of you see me stepping into my power now. You watch as the followers will begin to grow. And it will be like a stone rolling off a mountain without hands, destroying everything in its path as it's gaining momentum. We'll be destroying things, we'll be building things, right? Ours. The reality is that if you want a great life, hearken my words. It will come to you. You say, well, your life hasn't been great this last year. Hey, look, let me explain to you what's going to cause the Great Tribulation. Let me explain it to you so you understand it, because this is me loving you. What's going to cause it? Well, the enlightenment of humanity will cause it. Say, what do you mean it's going to cause the Great Tribulation? When people go through enlightenment, their karma resolution exponentially speeds up, meaning that you get slapped worse for whatever you've done until it's corrected, right? It just like that speeds up a lot, right? Or maybe you just notice it and it's always like that. I think that it speeds up, right? So whatever you've done gets done to you, right? And that's okay. The reason it's okay is because we need to completely remake the world. We need to remake what we're doing entirely. We need to cause a revolution that recreates everything around us in a way that's sustainable, in a way that's harmonious, in a way that is peaceful, in a way that is built for the future. Right? It is a sad thing that the central bankers are more planned than us. Why do I think that is? I think they know some very old people that can think in terms of thousands of years. Because they've got all the time in the world. That's my personal opinion. They think in terms of like 1,000 years or whatever. I mean, they're planning a long time in advance. It's a sad thing that they are more planned than we are. This is why society is slavery to the central banks and the systems of man and debt and broken hearts. We don't need to be. Right? We need to unify. Regardless of whether all the key points or not we agree with. We need to unify. We need to unify. Why? Because in unity there is peace. Because in unity there is power. Because in unity there is holiness. And in unity there is blessing. Because in agreement God will do bigger things. We must unify. Soon. Or it's going to be too late, people. Everybody's trying to avoid what's going to happen. Oh, I don't know if we're destroying the environment or not. I mean, this person says that and this other person says this. And it's like, look at all the evidence. We're absolutely destroying the environment. There's a ton of evidence about that. The air quality is lower. The soil is demineralized. People's teeth are eroding away. It's not funny. We're losing the consciousness of humanity to the enemy. We need to win. You can't believe somebody's stories they tell you all the time, including myself. Somebody says something bad about me or somebody says something bad about you to me, I'll just say, hey, that person's not in the room. Right? It's not my place to talk about people when they're not in the room. They feel resentful. Unless you're telling a story that's funny or something like that. But like really, if it's gossip, it needs to stop. People don't like it. Took me a long time in my life to learn that people don't like that. And I learned. People don't like it at all. It's got to stop. This crap that humanity is doing to each other has got to stop. The crap that people do to each other in relationships. It's got to stop. The revenge nonsense. It's got to stop. That's me being a hypocrite, right? God says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith who? The Lord. You leave vengeance to God, who's good at vengeance. So anyway, people start waking up. And that waking up produces tons of consciousness. That then gives Satan the ability to attack more hard because he can steal the consciousness when people sin. So he attacks more hard because there's more power. And when there's more power, he's more powerful too. It's happened already in the days of Enoch. It happened before the flood. And that increases darkness and light at the same time. Massive consciousness increases. Consciousness will always increase faster than darkness. I think. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. I got to think about that one. Maybe they go at the same time. Same amount relatively, maybe. But I think that the consciousness always accelerates a little bit more. So consciousness expands, the attacks massively increase. Like 1 million people attacked my wife, telling her to stay away from me. None of them without ever talking to me. Not ever saying hello. Not ever looking me in the eye and asking me how much I love her. Gossip. That's all that crap is. It's nonsense. Right? I'll tell you the thing she should do is get close to me and cling to me. Because I will keep her and her children safe in the Great Tribulation. Which will not be an easy thing to do. I'm the only place that is safe for her. The only one. It's an even more normal thing for people who know people going through spiritual awakenings to think that that person is crazy. It's very normal. Except if you talk to the person and how much their life has changed, that diagnostic makes no sense whatsoever. However, people think it. Every time it happens. Well, so what'll happen? The enlightenment will start exponentially compounding. Actually, it already has. But just not nearly like what's going to happen. For those of you that come to Enlightenment Week. I don't have a post up about that right now because I just got to write it from scratch or something. Right? Because in Enlightenment Week, we'll be able to put people in a safe environment where they're not going to lose everything. Because we'll do it in a way that's congruent with their external reality and whatnot. And we'll be able to keep enlightenment safe. And enlightenment being safe, and the only way enlightenment is going to be really that safe is to be around other enlightened people. That's what I was missing. I needed a guru about 2 years ago. I didn't know that I needed one. That's my problem. I really needed one. And it took me a while to find one. And the reality is that's what I needed. So when people have somebody that's gone through a lot of experience that they haven't been through and they've overcome the problems, they can help you avoid those problems altogether. But then people will come out of enlightenment, and then what happens is that they'll get attacked really hard, and the karma resolution speeds up, which means more people fighting each other, right? More crime, more power of the enemy, and we got to unify more to keep them at bay. Right? And you say, well, why would people want to be enlightenment if it's going to create some havoc? in society because it has to. We don't have time. People are not standing up to people that are hurting the environment. They just don't do it anymore, really. Some of them do, you know. They're not really standing up to them, though. They're just trying to pass dumb legislation. It's a backwards way to solve it. Look, the reality is that if we want to change things, society must go through enlightenment, all of us. Because that will give us the ability to rebuild society. You know, I was talking actually to a certain friend of mine, and I was telling that person, you know, yeah, you'd probably want to be careful with your enlightenment, because if you're enlightened by yourself, there's a very good chance you'd break up with your wife. And very wise person. I've known for a very long time. He said, yeah, that'll probably happen. Because he's read the teachings of Buddha. And I said, you know, the way that I could help you with that is after I prove this stuff is true at some point. If you actually went through that process with your wife, that would never happen. Right? Because one of them is not going to be stuck in a world that the other can't enter into, and vice versa. Once you have the reorganization of your spirit and your consciousness done, which does not really take a lot of time to do, and I'm getting much faster at doing that. Like, it's a permanent thing. You can't go from being enlightened to not being enlightened just because you want. It won't work. It's open. The doorways are open. You got to learn to deal with it. I've learned that generally women have a much easier time with enlightenment than men do. There's strangeness there, right? So I said the solution to that would be, because I know this person has been wanting enlightenment all of their life. Ever since they heard about it, they've wanted it. It's like part of the very core of their being and their work. And I was like, you know, and that would obviously be like optional. And I know that they want to do that right now because that, you know, this person's wife thinks I'm nuts, I'm sure. You know, great woman though. And I've known her for a long time too. And so, you know, I was like, but that's an option though for the future. And I'm not even in a place where I would do that right now. You know, I got to get some other stuff sorted out. And things that are more important that can make me more consistent money. None of them's gonna make me more consistent money than that. I promise. That'll be the hottest selling thing that exists when I get it going. And I do it right, you know, outside this stupid little niche. It's not a stupid niche. It's just like when I do it right. And so the reality is that if we want to love each other, we should do that now. We should just start loving each other. Why? Because if we don't love each other, all will be lost. Everything. I'm okay losing all of my friends for a while to stick to my integrity. I've had people ask me, like, why haven't you given up on this? And the answer is I can't because of my integrity. My personal integrity won't allow it. I know too much. And Whether or not anybody accepts that is their choice, isn't it? The beautiful thing about life is their choice. The beautiful thing about life is that people can choose one way or another way. A beautiful thing about life is that people can choose each other. Look, I don't know how you stumbled onto this video. I don't know if you found me through a blog post. I don't know if you found me on YouTube. I don't know if you're just one of my old customers reading my stuff and thinking it's very weird. All I know is this. There is a massive change that is coming to the world. And as of yet, I have not done a very good job in communicating that message. I think I'm actually doing a lot better of a job right now. I think that you'd all agree with that, with my communication. And now that I'm getting my message honed in from doing lots of videos and making tons of mistakes and figuring out what people want and what they don't want, I am in a place where I'm right about to start making money again in a big way, like a big amount. Oh, my brother's back. I got to go. Appreciate y'all. Remember, love your neighbors. You love yourself. What's up, dude?